At 13 miles, Broad Street is Philadelphia's longest straightaway. It runs north to south, right through the heart of the city. And it just so happens to wind up down by Lincoln Financial Field. It may only be 100 feet wide, but we'll find a way to make room for everyone.
Who doesn't love that? What's up, everybody? How we doing? Post Super Bowl, I ordered the other one, but you got to wear the Super Bowl champs. We got the banner hanging up in the house. We're 48 hours post Super Bowl. I mean, it still hasn't quite hit me yet. There's elements of it, yes, and like watching things back, watching the game back several times, reliving the moments, but it's still one of those where it's like we're 2 days beyond this. Like right now at this point, it was what, 2-ish hours into the game? We had it very much in hand. It was pretty much already there. It's just legit. We got a lot to get into. Obviously, relive the celebration. The man himself, Anthony Deuna, should be joining fairly shortly as well. But how is everybody doing? I'll also be giving away some Super Bowl gear later. So just shout out to everybody on that side. I had to play the Bradley Cooper clip, of course, because, the Eagles shared that on their social page. And for everybody that'll be going to the parade or thinking about the parade, it'll officially be Friday. You've probably already heard that. You've seen it. I think I've actually got a graphic that I can share with the parade if I can find it. If you have not caught a glimpse, here is, well, there's a couple of them. Let me see. This is probably the best graphic, Crossing Broad, for how it's going to take place. I think that'll work. There. Yeah. So, right there. Going to go up through City Hall, make its way around Ben Franklin Parkway, and, of course, down to the museum. Rocky Steps. Got the speeches, everything else. I think it starts at 11, and around the Rocky Steps at, I believe, 3 or 4. I think I saw that somewhere. No, 2. It helps to read. Speeches, 2 p.m. So, official detail. Over 1 million people, apparently, going to be showing up. But let's go, baby. It was Super Bowl champs. And by the way, Tyler, bro, the 50 bomb. Starting out the stream, mass 50 bomb from Tyler. Seriously appreciate that, dude. Super chat for your thoughts. Priorities, Baun, Becton, Milton Williams, let Sweat and some of the other not big names go. Let Jay Hunt and Ajomo take them snaps. Bring in Frank Reich as OC. And let all these young pups grow and run it back. Yes, let's run it back. The let's run it might have to turn into let's run it back. Instead of just doing the let's run it now. I don't know. We'll see if we can make that work. It feels appropriate, though, so that instead of those starting out with the let's run it, yeah, well, let's run it back. Oh, that guy, I see the comment, yes, for Zay. We're going to try to. I reached out to Zay. He's been busy, obviously, with lots of the celebration and everything else, but we'll have lots of players on. Tyler, I'm going to get to your comment. I'm not just glossing over that. We'll cover those. I was going to mention real quickly, though, because I saw the players. If you have not already, appreciate the subs. Drop a like. It is official. Thomas and I have this awesome collab going on that is continuing, but if you're curious or wanting to get in on the action for the giveaway, all you have to do is be sub to the channel. We're going to be given at least 2 spots, working on potentially others, but at least 2 spots for some lucky subscribers to join us at the NovaCare Complex, meet the Philly Dogs, get a tour of the NovaCare Complex, a hangout. I think it's an ice cream social. I'm not 100% yet, but I believe it's an ice cream social. I mean, whatever, just to get to meet, get some autographs, photo ops, and everything else. But, yeah, just all you got to do is be subbed. So it's as simple as that. Really cool stuff. It's great to be able to collab with the fellas anyway. I mean, I'll really any sort of get together, quite honestly. Tyler, you trademarked the run. Oh, so okay. Well, maybe that will help me then. Your 50 super chat, I can help purchase it back than you trademarked run it back. Well, the Chiefs trademarked the three, or well, they didn't. They were trying to buy it or did work out a deal with Pat Riley. They didn't need the three-peat. That was one of the favorite parts from the Super Bowl, I will say. Getting to back to your super chat though, Tyler, I think totally agree with you. Baun is at the top of the list. Zack Baun will be re-signed. He should be re-signed. I mentioned it on the last video. I cannot officially confirm this, but I've had at least one source tell me it feels like a very promising direction that this thing is going in, that Zack Baun will be back in Philly, that they can work something out. Again, nothing official yet, but we're moving in the right direction. So Zack Baun, top of the list, easy answer. And then, which by the way, for those asking, I think I had a few DMs for free agency. March 12th is, I believe, March 12th is the day for free agency signings, but a couple days before that is, the legal tampering period and starting all that. So we'll see what transpires there, but I would anticipate you get something done. Well, I mean, who knows the exact time, but I feel like well before. Take care of Baun. I like the idea of Mekhi Becton. I've seen back and forth, and if Anthony hops on here in a second, I feel like he's made the statement maybe multiple times that it's wouldn't surprise him if Mekhi Becton was to get an offer somewhere else and to go somewhere else. I don't doubt that he certainly could do that. I'm just hoping that it's more of a team-friendly deal and the discount of he's totally earned it, but I'm just saying in terms of like Philly's meant so much to him. You saw the tears. I mean, if you didn't see the tears, it's incredible. Go look it up. But Mekhi Becton, incredibly emotional just to win the division and make the playoffs, but to win the Super Bowl was sitting there and just bawling practically. He earned it. But I just feel like having the belief, someone believe in him finally, in Jeff Stoutland and then offensive line group, you take a little bit of a team-friendly deal, I suppose. Seek peace. Is this live? This is live. Thank you. I guess you appreciate the camera. I don't know what kind of comment that is, but yes, it is a live stream. Yeah, I think that you do because of, like, again, all the things that I mentioned there. Mekhi Becton was phenomenal, and Anthony texted me this. I think he also wrote an article on it as well, that Becton is the only player that's not been, I think it was not selected to the Pro Bowl or an All-Pro that only gave up one pressure, which is, I mean, wild in itself. But the fact that he didn't get that recognition, whatever, he's a stud. You saw a difference when it was brief and limited when he went out and Tyler Steen came in. I still believe in Tyler Steen. If they move on from him, if you have to go with Tyler Steen, you'll be fine. Like, we all trust Jeff Stoutland. It's just, if you can get Mekhi Becton and lock that up with the offensive line, I prefer the continuity. You keep it there. You have the advantage as it is with Saquon Barkley. We've seen that. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's Baun and Becton. Unfortunately, Milton Williams does not... Like, there's just no way in my mind that Milton Williams gets... I hope so. Like, if you figure out some way and that he also maybe takes it... But dude's going to get paid. I mean, especially on the biggest stage to have the game that he did. There's going to be teams lining up to say, that guy's got crazy athleticism, ridiculous pressure rate. He was I think he was the highest, if I'm not mistaken. He was definitely towards the latter part of the season, even into the playoffs, the highest in pressure rate on the team. So he's right up there near the top if he's not one in terms of the Eagles. So, I'm sure a team would be like, yeah, we'd absolutely take a chance, give him some starter position, starter role, starter money. Again, I would not want that to happen, but yeah, Tyler's saying Milton's getting a huge bag. It would shock me if Milton Williams is an Eagle, unfortunately. But, bro, if him and the rest of the D-line, Josh Sweat, same thing. He's going to get a bag. He went and signed with Rosenhaus right before the Super Bowl. Fantastic decision, by the way. Like, if you have already a good decision to go with Rosenhaus as your agent, but do that and then play the way that you did it in Super Bowl, yeah, Sweaty's getting paid. But we're fine. Still, even with the Milton Williams, I think that we're okay because Moro Jomo, like you said, Jalix Hunt, take the snaps. Jalen Hunt and Jomo, again, these are things that I mentioned in the last video, but they both led in pressure rate in the Super Bowl, like in the individual game. Now, they didn't get the sacks like Milton and Sweaty did, but they led in pressure rate. So you got some depth there. I'll be curious to see where it goes. Probably going to draft another person or another player as well. And shout out to Daniel Jeremiah, but I'm just barely starting to get into draft coverage. We'll have that over the next several months. But DJ was saying that there's, in his mind, I believe it was at least 24 potential starter prospects in terms of defensive tackles. So, Howie builds through the draft anyway, but you're not going to pay that money when you got to get Baun done, maybe Mekhi Becton. You potentially extend Cam Jurgens. You get a deal done early, right? Take care of business there. I would anticipate that you do, because Howie likes to pay it forward, pay it up front, take care of business. Daniel, draft Abdul Carter. Yeah, bro, in what world? In what world are we getting Abdul Carter? It'd be great. Everyone would love it. In what world is that going to happen? Hey, Frank from Philly, what's up, bro? Hey, I missed a comment or a name for the last stream. If you're I assume you're still on the stream here. Email me. I missed it on the last one, but I had to get in contact with you. Email the Philly Special Show at gmail.com. Hit me up there. Tyler, draft talk number one name should be Benjamin Morrison at corner, Notre Dame. Okay. I'm barely starting to get into it. So again, I don't have as much as Anthony and others. But I know a few names, sure. And then let's see, we already covered those. Sweat, and Jalen Hunt, Jomo. Oh, Frank Reich, the other one. I go back and forth. Okay, so we're kind of all over the place, but I like it. I can appreciate Tyler. These are all topics we were going to cover, but we're just kind of getting into everything. Let me, just so that people have it on their screen. I know that everybody's said this or seen this by this point. There is, if I can find it. Here you go. Kellen Moore, officially, again, much earlier today, but Adam Schefter and others. Kellen Moore officially accepted the position with the New Orleans Saints, as we know. So then who becomes the OC? Tyler, you were asking or mentioning Frank Reich. I don't hate the idea. I like some stability. So if you can get an older coach who maybe does not have head coach aspirations or the ability to be a head coach, because a lot of teams are looking at it and going, yeah, didn't really work out. Not too great the last couple positions, last couple stops. I would be okay with it. But there's an element to it also where it does not seem very likely. I don't know if the idea of Nick Sirianni, it loves Frank Reich, right? They had great relationships, so maybe not a big deal. But your former boss then becoming the assistant sometimes isn't awkward. It might not be with Frank Reich, so maybe that's a moot point. But and it has happened other instances, right? Like Ryan Day and Chip Kelly in Ohio State. And where's the other one? There's one other one that I have. Oh, Kellen Moore. He might be hiring Brandon Staley as his defensive coordinator. So it can and it has happened. I don't know. There's that element to it, but I also think that it's more so Kevin Patullo that is going to get the position. Shout out to Jeremy Fowler and others that suggest he is a front-runner candidate, very much potential. Here we go. I'll put it back up here, so just for people that did not see it. But Jeremy Fowler, look for Philadelphia associate head coach, pass game coordinator Kevin Patullo to receive strong consideration for both the Eagles and Saints offensive coordinator jobs. And then goes on to share Sirianni leaning on Patullo, last 4 seasons, all the other stuff. That feels like a push, a little pressure, and I don't necessarily, is it from Patullo? Maybe Kellen's legit there. Like there's an opportunity. Yes, they've got a relationship now. So if Kellen's heading off to New Orleans, he goes, hey, you know what? There might be an opportunity for you on offensive coordinator. But if that is the case, I think it makes it even more so that Sirianni goes, no, I need my guy. Because he's had Patullo for forever. So I very much anticipate that Kevin Patullo will be the offensive coordinator. Now they're going to have to conduct the interviews regardless, because there's the Rooney Rule, and they're going to interview some other candidates. I'm sure Howie made the statement before of he had a very short list of candidates. So there hopefully are a couple names. I very much, I kind of go back and forth. I just don't expect anyone else other than Kevin Patullo. I would prefer someone outside. I'll just put that out there. I've said it multiple times. I think that Patullo could be okay. He could be fine. The Eagles as a whole will be fine, even if it's Kevin Patullo. And I've got a couple reasons for that. But, yeah, it goes back and forth. There's multiple ways to look at it. Bobby Slowick has taken a position. I'll try to put that one here on the screen in a second. But we do have the man himself, Anthony Deuna, joining. Let's see if I can make sure and get this to work. There we go. And here he is. Make sure I can hear you too.
Oh, there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me in my terrible voice?
I'm getting the earbuds, so as long as you can hear me and my mic didn't do that weird thing last time. We've got some, everybody knows I've got some technical issues at times, so there we go. I can hear you. We should be good.
Are you sure my voice isn't
You're
terrible?
I can hear your voice. It's it's a little bit a little bit yelling from the past, but
Listen, we had a lot to be excited about, okay?
just a bit. Yeah. The Super Bowl victory. Heck yeah.
I think it was the pick six that did it to me.
That was probably the biggest hype, yelling, screaming, even during the stream. We were doing the exact same thing. So
We put the kids to bed at halftime, so I had to be quiet after that. But the first half, I was able to get a little loud.
I totally get it. Yeah, it depends on when you're watching, the timing as well. So let's see. Somebody was saying, where was that? Oh, yeah. Daniel says, damn, Anthony's been screaming. So as if you couldn't tell. Yes, Anthony, absolutely. He texted me earlier, was like, yeah, I'll be drinking the warm tea. So is it better than what it was earlier today? Or is the voice about the same?
It's a little bit better, and it's in and out. Okay. I mean, I'm trying. I warned you, so.
Oh, no, I know. Yes.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Gutting it out. No, we appreciate that. Harry says, Josh, I don't know if you remember, but before the season, I called Saquon 2,000 yards and 10-plus touchdowns. Yes, I remember a couple of different predictions like that. I also remember Anthony's 0.0% that Saquon is on the Eagles, and
it's a good one.
Yeah, it is. We've had good ones and also ones that did not hit.
That might be my finest work yet, and that's why it's in my Twitter bio, and it will never be removed from there. So
good.
0.0% is with me till the day I die.
I can appreciate it. Yes, it needs to sort of reverse jinxes, whatever we need to do, because we did that even before the Super Bowl, right? Just try to put as much positive energy out there as we can. So. I'm for whatever works. I'll say that, but there's guys that we were talking about like Nolan Smith. We were like spot on with the sack predictions. Jalen Hunt, you called before the Eagles even drafted him. You're like, hey, keep an eye out for this guy. And you're like, all right, hey. And then the report is Vic Fangio is pounding the table to draft him, and then the Eagles do. Did anyone anticipate that dude would be playing in the Super Bowl? The amount of snaps that he did with a half sack and like first in either quarterback hits or pressures and second in the other one? No, not really, but he did it. Played big time.
He should have got the full sack on that play. I don't care what they say.
Yeah. I was a little surprised when he didn't. I will say, but good for. Did he go to Sweat on that one, or was it Milton that got the half?
It was Sweat.
Okay,
he broke out the celebration, which is. Like I mentioned before with Nolan Smith, that's the key to being an elite pass rusher. You got to have that patented celebration. So
you do.
He's got that Trent Cole bow and arrow going on.
Oh yeah, who doesn't love that? The Hunter. Let's go. Let's see. Abram with a 5. Thank you for that. So now that we won the bowl, when's the Baun combo coming? He did have an INT too. I don't know what that When's the Baun
contract?
Maybe contract. I'm sure that's what that means there.
Or maybe he played so well that he's going to get his own combo at McDonald's. Maybe that's what it is.
Okay, I could take that. Sure. Abram, I'm sorry if I'm totally missing that. Maybe that's something that I should be picking up on, and I'm not. He did have an INT too. I don't know what that. Yeah, I mean contract makes more sense. We were talking about this a second ago, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out. Let's see. A couple of these others. Anthony with 2 says, Beltass told y'all, get Huff out of here now. We were going to get into that eventually, but I guess because it's here on the screen, we might as well.
Oh, no.
You've gone blurry. You've gone very blurry all of a sudden. You've gone like Patrick Mahomes' vision in the Super Bowl.
Let's see if I can fix
very blurry. Still.
Let me back out. I'll come back.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh, Yinder says, "Oh, collab." Okay, that makes. Oh, it's like. Oh, I meant the hair. Oh, okay, all right, Abram. Okay, I get you. Yeah. I was like, what in the world combo? Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. No, Anthony's already got the bald, so he's got it. I'm not. I figured out what the combo was. I can see you. I can.
Okay, cool.
Hear you. I think we're good. Yeah. The combo was I guess me shaving my hair. Get the Baun combo.
Listen, I'm taking care of that on this show. I'll take care of being bald.
I was gonna say my wife would, especially if I didn't tell her, she'd be like, "You did what? What? Let me see that, huh?"
I mean that's basically what happened when I shaved my head a couple of years ago. I came home and I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna go shave my head. She's like, no, you're not. Just went to the bathroom, buzzed it off, came out. She was like, oh my God. That was it.
Wow. That's a pretty bold move there.
Listen, we were already married. We had one kid. I don't know if my son was born yet, but at that point, she's not going to leave me, right? I hope.
I mean, yeah, until death do we part, richer or poor, better or worse. I mean, that's hilarious. That's pretty bold though. With the Bryce Huff though, yeah, as Anthony says, get Huff out of here. My wife might be like, get that out of here in terms of the Baun combo. Inactive, like that goes hand in hand with the reason that it was a moot point and didn't matter is because of the guys like Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith and all the way that they were able to step up and play so much better. But to have a $50 million pass rusher inactive, a healthy scratch for a Super Bowl says a lot. Good and bad, I suppose. Like good with the future, because we talked about Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt being the future on the edges. But I mean, that's a big miss. It just speaks volumes to the other hits that you have that it really didn't matter. But is there a way? I mean, where do you go from here with it? There's not a easy way out. I know that Anthony's saying, get Huff out of here, but like, what do you do?
I mean, it's easier said than done. They're going to have to eat money regardless, whether it's this year, this offseason, next offseason. But it's just like, even the Devin White move, looking back at that, like he got a decent amount of guaranteed money and they just moved on him basically for nothing. Like they got nothing out of him essentially for the regular season. So that's essentially like $20 million in money this year or so that they got essentially no production out of. Maybe what was it, 2 or 3 sacks that Bryce Huff got. So, but like you said, it's also a sign that how well of a job Howie Roseman did with guys like Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, even guys like Josh Sweat stepping up in a contract year where he restructured to come back. So it just speaks volumes about what they already did in the draft. And it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they try and offload him somehow in the offseason. Maybe they attach one of those extra 5th-round picks that they have to kind of move his contract or something like that. But I don't know. They're in a good shape regardless. I know it didn't work out, but I mean, nobody's complaining after winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's there's multiple things that we talked about before well before, but definitely before the season started, and saying that, hey, if the pros and cons, right, to continue on with this of the Bryce Huff, we'll see, but they're in a good spot because of the multiple pass rushers there. But Nicholas here, the 2 says, I like the QB coach T. Martin from Baltimore for the next OC. we can get into OC candidates, potentials, thoughts, everything there. Naturally, Kellen Moore going to New Orleans. It feels like Kevin Patullo, as I was mentioned before you hopped on here, will be the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. We'll see how soon that actually ends up happening. But this is where you're at. Sirianni, all kudos and praise to him because there was lots of criticism. He rallies the squad, and for people that ask what he does, it's kind of hard to exactly pinpoint a description for him. But he, as the CEO head coach, he rallies the guys and gets them ready to play. The messaging, whatever it is. But he proved me wrong. He proved a lot of people wrong. Good for him. But this is still the blessing and the curse of it. But we said, you know what? Look, if it results in you lose your offensive coordinator, but you win a Super Bowl, everyone would take it. So, that's where we're at. We lost the offensive coordinator. Is it a continual cycle here that we're going to have if the Eagles, depending on who they move into their OC, maybe in the same boat in a year or 2 years, if you have another really successful year or a couple years? Yes, because Sirianni's not that play caller, or hopefully he is not that play caller. But, it's not the worst position to be in because we're sitting here 48 hours after a Super Bowl going, all right, hey, not many teams done it. We got 2 now. It's not just 1. 2 Super Bowls.
Like they can't call it a fluke anymore, right? Especially
no, they can't.
beating 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time on the biggest stage. But it's funny because literally like at this time last season when they first hired Kellen Moore, the discussion was like, oh, well, if they have a great year, he's going to get a job. And like we were like, okay, that means they had a great year. But they had literally the best year possible winning the Super Bowl. So if that's your trade-off, I think they're going to be perfectly fine doing this every season. And I know I tweeted it earlier today about Jalen Hurts and kind of how people talk about how he's kind of had to deal with so much change at OC dating back to college. But if you look back now, 7 of those 9 coordinators are now head coaches in either college or the NFL. So maybe it's the Jalen Hurts effect and it's not just the Eagles effect. Like maybe he's just a really damn good quarterback and he's going to finally get the respect he deserves.
Maybe so. Imagine that. Imagine Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. It's a couple people very, very early on. It was didn't last very long, but very early on of people that were, doubting Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. Just the comments that they were making and whenever he was making his throws and stuff like that, saying like, oh, see, I told you guys you're going to excuse Hurts. It's like, what? Make a few plays, a couple throws. Jalen Hurts, the highest EPA in terms of a Super Bowl since 2000, or at least dating back to 2000. And I also saw a tweet from, I think it was Shil Kapadia from the Philly Special podcast there. It's saying that Steve Spagnuolo, chief defensive coordinator, has had 25 or 26 playoff games, and Jalen Hurts' EPA was the highest allowed that Spags has ever had in that game. So, I mean, it speaks for itself. All the quarterbacks that have gone up against Spags, Jalen Hurts just cooked and had the best game. Now, people, I think that we can have both also. Like that, this is also another point that what people want to bring. They're like, well, the game was won by the defense. Let's not go overboard. Let's not say it was both phases. Like the reason this thing was a blowout and a massacre by the middle of the third quarter was because it was complimentary football. It was the defense that was not allowing anything. And then every single time just about that Jalen Hurts and the offense got on the field, he was making the right decision. There was one play that he made the incorrect decision, or right as he's kind of on his back foot, can't throw it far enough, whatever. He throws the interception. There's your mistake. But other than that, he played flawless. Like good play calling, throws on the money. And I think people discredit sometimes too, or at least don't give him enough credit for his deep ball accuracy. There are so many quarterbacks that when he's throwing to Smitty on that pass, when he's throwing to Jahan Dotson, they are going to miss that receiver. And how many times did Jalen not hit the receiver, but I mean, it's like right there in stride where only the receiver can catch it. But no. He's just a glorified running back. We got to remember that. It's pretty wild.
Even his miscommunication or whatever you want to call it with A.J. Brown, where A.J. Brown thought it was going to be a deep ball and Jalen Hurts obviously thought it was going to be a back shoulder, but if A.J. Brown thought it was back shoulder, that was going to be a perfect pass too. So you could just see like his accuracy, especially in the biggest games, it seems like just rises to another level. I know people want to criticize how he does in the regular season, but Tom Brady, who's, I guess you can't even say arguably, he is the greatest quarterback of all time, could not figure out Spags in the Super Bowl twice. And now Jalen Hurts has been able to figure him out twice in the Super Bowl. So it's just like, it's unbelievable. I don't know if you want. I know he's not going to get credit. People are going to say, "Oh, it's because of all the talent around him," or whatever you want to say. But he's pretty damn good. And I mean, hopefully, this finally seems like he's starting to get some recognition. But there are still plenty of national reporters and writers that are saying that, oh, he's still an average quarterback or whatever ridiculous stuff they want to say. But maybe they just have to do it again.
I suppose. I mean, I did like the clip of Jalen talking to Smitty afterwards. All the mic'd up stuff is phenomenal, but especially like Super Bowl, you go back and watch, and there's like 30-minute or I don't know, even an hour of mic'd up clips and footage that you can go check out. But hearing him say, we got some catching up to do, like get back here. This won't be the last time, but you deserve this. Yeah, there's extreme motivation, and there's feels like a great opportunity, but you have to call it what it is. Jalen Hurts, like you said, there was Spags, like both games, but Jalen Hurts has outplayed Patrick Mahomes in 2 Super Bowls. In 2 Super Bowls, Jalen Hurts has clearly, there's not even an argument, he has clearly outplayed Patrick Mahomes. So, you could look at other regular season games or whatever metrics you want to go to, but when the pressure is on, Jalen does not flinch. Like, that is one thing about Jalen that so far you can count on him in the Super Bowl. Jeffrey Lurie said it in his interview afterwards. He's like, no, if there were any concerns about certain areas, Jalen was the furthest away. There was no concern he was going to play big because big-time players play big time in big-time games, and that's exactly what Jalen did there. But it's no wonder he won MVP. I just love it because it's, all the narratives like you mentioned there, along with you beat Patrick Mahomes, you beat this dynasty, you stopped the three-peat. They got to go back to Pat Riley, I guess, and say, hey, don't cash the check, I suppose, or can we have? I don't know how that worked. I don't really pay him before, or it's if we do win, but they don't need it.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I know we talked about it beforehand. Like somebody let that out, like that cat out of the bag beforehand, and the Eagles obviously saw it because Milton Williams talked about it. I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson talked about it. Like that was brought up in meetings for sure. But going back to your point about how the defense, like people are just going to give the defense all the credit to the defense, but the reason that they were kind of able to play with like their hair on fire with the front four and do all these twists and stunts and kind of just throw these unique looks at, because they built up such a quick lead and they knew that the Chiefs were going to have to throw the ball because they already had a pretty poor running game going into the game. So the fact that they were now trailing by double digits almost immediately, and because the offense was able to move the ball so efficiently to start the game, that's why the defense was able to play the way that they were as well. So they kind of play hand in hand. I don't think, granted, it was one of the best defensive performances ever in the Super Bowl, but
yeah,
I also think Jalen Hurts had one of the best performances ever as well.
Yeah, it's I think that I can't remember who shared the exact stat because I saw lots of them and I was gathering them for the last video that I released. But when you're number one in defensive efficiency through 3 quarters in Super Bowl history, that tells you. I mean, we could all see it with our eyes, I think so. But like, it's just to extra emphasis to say no, it's not even the '85 Bears, it's not even the 2000 Ravens, it's not even the 2002 Bucks, it's the 2024, 2025 Philadelphia Eagles defense that through 3 quarters was the number 1 defense the league has ever seen in the Super Bowl. And they finished 4th, even with the garbage, crap that like Mahomes scored. His stats look a whole lot like if, not that there's very many people, but if they went to sleep and they're like, oh, I'll just check out the box score, watch it the next day, they could look at that and go, that's not too bad. Like Mahomes played okay. He didn't play good, but he played okay. But yeah. No. Through 3 quarters, and everybody saw it. It was terrible, and it's because of the defense. So, I saw comments of
they didn't cross midfield until the third quarter, right?
Yeah,
and like at one point, the Eagles' offense ran more plays than the Chiefs had total yards. Like it was absurd.
Not an 11-yard pass was they didn't have a longer than 11-yard pass until that third quarter. I think it was the hand in hand. So. It doesn't get any better than that. And I will also say too, Josh, I'm going to get to your super chat and others. I see those. I'm going to get to those here in a second. The fact that you're looking at this group and because everybody's talking about them beforehand. I saw a couple comments in the recent video, and I'm not sure, maybe some at this point as well, but I've seen a few. I'm not calling the Chiefs frauds. Like, I've seen some of those people making those statements out there. The Chiefs, because I think it also taints and discredits the Eagles' win here. The Chiefs were not frauds. the Chiefs just had no business beating the Eagles. They had no business being on the field with the Eagles. The Eagles saw that bulletin board material. They've played up to it every time that you doubt them. Not just Jalen. The whole team has embodied that spirit from Jalen Hurts, but the whole team sees it and they're like, all right, fine. You know what? You want to say that? Jared Verse? Okay. You know what? Just every team that we've gone through, the Commanders, Joe Witt, Frankie Louvu, you're coming after Jalen? All right, let's see how that works out. So it's just every single stage, and then the three-peat and the Chiefs and this dynasty and all this other stuff, and the analysts picking the Chiefs, no one really giving the Eagles a shot. But this 2024 group, as opposed to the 2017 was great, but that was the underdog story, the underdog year, right? But this one, this felt like, and I can't remember which player said it, but somebody was saying something to the effect of like, we're no one's underdog. That was they were there knowing they were the bigger dog, and it was like, we're going to prove it to you. And so that's what I loved the most, is it was a leave no doubt, the too big to rig statements, that we had as we were doing the live stream before. But to not even be close, I've never seen a game, that I can even really think of, even regular season wise, where there was like it was over so early. You're like the Cooper DeJean. It's in the second quarter, but that pick, and I'm sitting there going like, I mean, this may be it. Like they cannot move the football. The offense is doing fine, And then a little bit later, Zack Baun gets the interception. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely about to be it. The Jalen scores. Smitty's touchdown was phenomenal, but I mean, even before the bomb to Smitty to make it 34-0, you just had all the confidence in the world. So I don't know. It's just the extra part to the Eagles. Give the Eagles credit. There's no need for the frauds of the Chiefs because, like I said, I think it taints what happened on Sunday. The Eagles are just that good.
Yeah, I think it's just people like, even like players and like the experts or whoever was picking the game, they were like, listen, the Eagles are more talented. They're the better team overall. But the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. Like, he was the ultimate equalizer. And I feel like we even spoke about that too, but it's just they overwhelmed him. They rattled him. It felt like it got to 10-0 and everybody was like, oh, well, they've been down 10-0 in the other Super Bowls. Like, this is when they wake up. And then he threw that pick six and everybody was like, uh-oh. Like, this is where they usually flips, but it went the other way. And like, it just spiraled out of control so quickly. Like you said, it was just like over before it even started, really.
It was so fun. I opened the stream up here because I was it's 48 hours past. It still hasn't completely hit me.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that we won, but it's like, it kind of hits me in waves every once. So it's like a reminder or to go like, did that really happen the way that it happened too? It's like I think I'm at the point where I'm like, yes, we won the Super Bowl, but I'm going back to it and being like, we won in the most dominating fashion ever. Like, made a statement to every single critic who you go back and look at all the, mixtapes that people have made of, oh, they can't win this way. And Rex Ryan comes to mind because it's like, they can't win if Saquon Barkley, if it's Jalen Hurts throwing in the pocket, or he has to beat you with his arm. That's not going to be possible. And the walk it back statements from the national media, everyone who said that, like you're talking about with Mahomes, it was flat out ridiculous. So I'm going to get to these super chats. Christine saying, Josh, even the announcers were saying at halftime, Pat would bounce back because he's done it so many times. Yes, there was that belief. Jack said, Josh, I couldn't believe what I was seeing at times. It was awesome. I think that was a little bit. I thought that we would win. I wasn't super nervous. I was a lot more calm this one than in 2017 and in 2022, 2023. I just didn't think it was going to be, 40-6 at one point, effectively a game of 40-6. Josh with a 5. I want an old head for an assistant. Talking about the OCs again, we've seen what happened with Vic. Took over the defense. Our offense doesn't need much work, just stability. And then real quick before we get to that, I'll also mention John's 10 here because he was talking about your, I believe, voice. Says Anthony Deuna avoiding the IR list. Boss move. So powering through on that one. Kudos to you.
Maybe I should have sat out. It would have been a little easier on people's ears, but hey.
I think people appreciate the recap and just reliving it, honestly. Because I was like, normally during the season, it was a lot of like Tuesday streams and Friday streams, and then it got so busy where I was like, we're just doing the Friday streams. But now that we're, I guess, into the off season now and the Super Bowl and all that, I was like, I got some stuff coming up. Valentine's Day. Take my wife out for a date and all that. So Friday's probably not going to happen. I'll probably stream like early during the parade, but not the Friday night. But I was like, we got to find time before it gets too far beyond this, because it's just you need to talk it through. You need to just relive these moments here. So
let's just do a stream every night and just keep talking about it.
I mean,
the
hey,
whole
you know
offseason.
what? Here you go. It's just throw little glimpses of the Super Bowl again, little flashbacks. But we've talked about, like, Kevin Patullo does feel like the likely, and a little bit from the past one as well. But to Josh's super chat here of to Vic taking over the defense, he could have very well gotten the Super Bowl MVP for the defense's performance. But what do you think, though? Like stability with the offense, does it need a Frank Reich of sorts, or is Kevin Patullo okay? Is there someone else out there? I've seen some of your tweets, but just for people that have not, or your thoughts on that side, where are you at?
It sure seems like at this point Kevin Patullo is kind of the favorite, and they have to, by rule, because of the Rooney Rule, they're going to have to interview at least 2 minority candidates. So we might see them interview a guy like, I don't know, T. Martin or Gerard Johnson, Thad Lewis, guys like that, but just to kind of satisfy that rule. But at the same time, if they do lose Doug Nussmeier as well, who's reportedly in the running for the OC job in New Orleans and came here with Kellen Moore, so that would be, they would have, and if they do promote Kevin Patullo, even, they would have to now fill Patullo's void, where he was the associate head coach and pass game specialist. I don't know if they want to split that up into 2 roles, or if they just want to have a pass game specialist and scrap the other one. And then they would also have to fill the quarterback coach need. So I would keep in mind, like, even if they are just going to interview or promote Kevin Patullo, these other guys that they might interview, they might be talking to them and saying, hey, would you be interested in the pass game coordinator or our quarterback coach job? Like, teams don't necessarily have to allow them to do that, but it's potentially an option if they want to, if they potentially can earn more salary or something like that. But in regards to, like, potential targets, or I don't think they necessarily need to hire a guy like Frank Reich or Doug Peterson, Mike McCoy, just because they're experienced. I think on offense, they're like a little bit more progressive and like forward thinking, where they don't mind, because they have guys like Jeff Stoutland in the building, taking a chance on a younger guy maybe that they can kind of bring along and kind of mold their own way and kind of take the upside there, kind of like they did with Jalen Hunt in the 3rd round, right? Like, they don't mind going with a younger guy, but it also could blow up in your face, as it did with Brian Johnson, where maybe he wasn't ready, or maybe Nick Sirianni was still kind of meddling in there too. So it's a risk and reward, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they just go Kevin Patullo because it seems like they've passed over him a couple of times at this point, and they don't have any other new title to hand him. So I think they'll give him the shot, but then bring in a couple outsiders to fill those other roles that I was talking about.
Yeah, it's I saw a few trolls, and again, they are trolls, so I absolutely call them that, and a little bit of joking. But someone would be like, "Hey, what if the Eagles brought back Brian Johnson as the OC? Hey, Washington pass game coordinator, BJ, the relationship with Jalen Hurts after a year, you learn something, bring back." No, that's not going to happen. But it's
yeah, I think the same thing with Doug
quickly.
Peterson too. Like, I've seen a lot of people mention Doug Peterson just because they, like, Frank Reich's talked about too, but I don't think he necessarily, he got fired. Like, it's not like he left and got hired by somebody else. Like, where Frank Reich, he was offensive coordinator and then got hired to be a head coach. Like, it's completely different situations. So it's kind of different that way. So I don't think Peterson would be an option either.
Here's another point that I was going to bring up as you're talking about that. Let me make sure I can. Yeah, okay, good. You're in the screen. I was thinking I might switch over and lose you, but you're still here. That's good. Okay, so I was curious to look this back up. So Brian Johnson, whenever he was here, and we would all say that Brian Johnson was a failure. The offense was not what it needed to be, should have been, all this other stuff with the weapons. But even so, the Eagles' total offense was 9th. Their rush offense was 8th. The pass offense was 16th. The points per game, 7th. 3rd down was 3rd. 4th down was 1st. Tush, push, brotherly shove. And then red zone was 9th. Overall, I mean, that's not terrible. It is bad considering, like we say, the weapons that you have and what you could end up being. Here's the point that I would make, though, because I don't, honestly, if I was going to pick, I would not prefer Kevin Patullo to be the offensive coordinator. It does feel like that's going to happen. But I've seen some people go, oh my gosh, this is going to be 2023 over again. The reason it's not is because of Vic Fangio, because of this defense. The issue with the Eagles team and the reason that we had all the struggles that we did was not just one-sided. It was two-sided, and even probably more so on the defense, because we had the 29th ranked defense. Now, I'm not going to say because it's incredibly hard to do it, that the Eagles are going to have the number one defense in the league again next season. But it's not out of the stretch of or realm of possibility to say top 5 defense, because they're the youngest defense in the league and they're only going to get better. They're going to lose a few players, but they'll draft some. They might acquire some in free agency. They're going to probably retain Zack Baun. I mean, that seems like a foregone conclusion. But that defense, if it's top 5 even, if it's not even number 1, but if it's top 5, that's 24 spots from how it was in 2023. So if you got Kevin Patullo to put up those numbers there, 9th in total offense, again, you'd go, well, that's not really that acceptable necessarily if you got Saquon, Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, like all these weapons. But it won't look the same because you don't have a defense that allows a team to march down the field basically every single drive, because Cooper DeJean is going to be 1 year further along. Quinyon Mitchell is going to be 1 year further along. Zack Baun is probably going to keep getting better, as ridiculous as that seems. But this is his first year in this scheme. And then we talk about Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter. Like, the list goes on and on and on. So to me, is Kevin Patullo the best potential candidate? It's slimmer pickings because you got later in the candidacy pool. But even, like I say, even if he ends up having that type of Brian Johnson in the offense, like, we don't really love it, defense wins championships. Maybe it's a little bit closer. You have a difficult schedule. But I still say at the end of the day, it's not even going to be a shell of what people saw in 2023 and the struggles because of all that. And I think the team is battle tested. They're hardened. They've been through it. They have a different resolve now. I don't know, just my 2 cents. But I was looking back at that earlier and trying to find that as well with the tweets. I'm just not as concerned, even if it's the wrong choice, so to speak, for the OC.
And it's not even just Vic Fangio himself. I think you look at guys like Christian Parker, Bobby King, Clint Hurt. Like, you can see these players and the way that they developed and the way that the rookies played in their first year that we really didn't see the year prior too much, as far as like even veterans taking step forwards. Like a guy like Zach Baun, where he literally basically never played inside linebacker before, and now he was an all-pro. Like, the fact that that entire core, it seems like, might stay together, it just makes you feel so much more comfortable going into next season, no matter who the OC is. So I think almost another like loss factor in 2023 is Brian Johnson gets a lot of the blame, but Alex Tanney was promoted to quarterback coach to fill the void by Brian Johnson being OC. And I feel like that kind of threw things off too, because he didn't have a ton of experience as a quarterback coach. Brian Johnson only had 2 years of coaching in the NFL before becoming an OC. So that's 2 key positions on your offensive coaching staff that were occupied by guys that had a handful of years in the NFL. So even if they go with a guy like Kevin Patullo, who has 15 years of coaching in the NFL, like, he has experience, and then whoever they bring in at quarterback coach, I'm sure it's not going to be a guy with 1 or 2 years of experience. I think it'll be like maybe a guy like Mike McCoy, who was the head coach of the Chargers and had Sirianni on his staff. He was most recently the Jaguars quarterback coach for 3 seasons. I think bringing in a guy like that would be great too, where he has all the experience. He was a head coach. He was an OC. He was a quarterback coach. He played quarterback in the NFL. Like, bringing in a mind like that would be great too for some added stability and experience.
Yeah, I like that idea. You're right. The positional coaches get overlooked so many times, but they're incredibly important, and we saw it play out here. It's the nature of the beast, because you have success, eventually you lose those guys, even if you have them for 1 more season. But potentially, you start losing them to jobs after that. But the night and day difference is absolutely insane. IBH here, appreciate the 2. I'm gonna run through some super chats. Says Anthony sounds like Brando in The Godfather. That might be the best compliment you could possibly get. Like, not gonna lie, big Godfather fan. You a Godfather fan?
No, not too much. I mean,
No? Okay.
I know I'm Italian from New York. I
I was
should
gonna
be
say you should be.
into that. It was on TV all the time growing up because my dad only watched 2 things on TV. It was either Godfather or Rocky. But
That's fair.
yeah, besides, I never really sat down and paid attention to it. I was too busy playing Pokemon or Call of Duty or whatever I was playing.
Okay, that's fair. I was gonna ask if you could do a Godfather impression or impersonation, but I won't put you on the spot then if you weren't fully invested there. I think you really could pull it off right now, though. So IBH has a good point. You definitely sound like Marlon Brando.
You do this for me, I make you a made man. Isn't that from Godfather?
There you go. We could do I'm making an offer you can't refuse. That's the big one for me. But yeah, you don't even have to change your voice. I watched a documentary on that, not to get way off on a tangent, but it's pretty wild, like all that he did for that acting role. Derek with a 5. Appreciate that. So bring John Gruden back as our OC. He deserves a second chance, and he's smart as hell. I loved when he told Wentz to hold on to the ball with both hands. I don't see Gruden as a potential.
Leave him at Barstool. I'm kind of enjoying.
He's been
John
great
Gruden
in that.
at Barstool.
It's been a lot of fun. Yes,
I know Barstool's controversial, but I enjoy what he does there.
I have appreciated it. He had I think he had multiple videos. He had like the preview for the Super Bowl, but they had the live streams and all that. But yeah, I think it's been good. Everybody's got to take on a potential offensive coordinator. I don't really think that's the role for him to come back for Philly. Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to say no. I'll pass on that one. Kamali with a 2 says, "We on top. We are. Let's run it back. Let's do it. We got an opportunity."
That's basically what they're doing, right? You only got a handful of guys hitting free agency.
Got the squad to do it, yeah. Marcus with a 5. Does this win make you less spiteful of Pat Mahomes and Kansas City? Somehow my ire has lessened after we got our revenge. Go Birds, world champs. That's an interesting take. Maybe like subconsciously. I don't feel like I felt like the same or very similar to the Chiefs as I did for the Patriots, right? Because everybody just gets tired of, we got to talk about the Patriots when they're on the run. You got to talk about the Chiefs when they're on the run. Do people get tired of the villain winning every single time? And whether you buy into the ref conspiracy or not, they just continue to win. So, yeah, I mean, sure, less spiteful because you ended the reign, you ended the pride, cockiness, conceitedness, wherever you fall on that spectrum. So sure, yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I kind of agree too, because even if you look at like Giants fans, I told you my brother and my whole family's Giants fans. Like they're able to view the Patriots differently and Tom Brady differently because they can hold those 2 rings over him. Like we got the best of him, and I feel like the Eagles had that with Tom Brady, but they didn't have that with Patrick Mahomes after losing that first time. So now, even if they go on to win a couple more, you could always say, listen, we got the better of them that one time, which only Tom Brady can say as far as beating him in the Super Bowl. So that's a pretty big deal.
Not too bad. I will certainly take that. Question for you, but I'm going to go through again a couple of these super chats before we fully get there. But does thoughts on, because I saw this being brought up and I mentioned it also in the last video, Jalen Hurts being Patrick Mahomes' rival of sorts. I mean, it's maybe a little bit more difficult because they're in different conferences, of course, but, just a possibility there. Abram with a 2, though, as you're considering that. Says, I genuinely believe Hurts is QB2 in the NFL and Pat is number 1. And let's see, Anthony, I'm also going to get to yours, but LA Kid real quick on the same topic of Jalen says, Jalen won a Super Bowl with Kellen in year 1 before Dak did with Kellen and Dan Quinn's defense for 3 years. That is true. Although Dak said that they're very close. They're very close to the same level of the Eagles, whether you believe that or not. But
every time I see like Jerry Jones or any Cowboys player basically open their mouth, it's just like, what are you doing? Just be quiet, like enjoy the offseason and then come back and just prove it on the field. It's just insane. But going back to that question, I feel like he has to be, right? Because Patrick Mahomes has kind of got the better of guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Like they never really lost to those guys outside of Joe Burrow. So the only guy he's really lost to outside of that is Jalen Hurts, where he got one over Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has one over him. This is like what I think it was like they mentioned it that no player with that, like no quarterback matchup that they repeated in the Super Bowl. The previous winner always won that second matchup. And now this time, obviously, that didn't happen. So the fact that they're 1-1 in the Super Bowl, how could they not be rivals? I mean, it feels like you play a guy twice on the biggest stage, you split that series, then like that has to be your biggest rival, even though he's not in your conference. And what I love about it, and I know nobody wants to give the Chiefs credit, but Patrick Mahomes sat up there, took all those questions, praised the hell out of Jalen Hurts after he beat him, praised the hell out of Jalen Hurts after he lost to him. So I have a ton of respect for him that way. I know people don't like how he flops and things like that, but what he said after the game, I think that holds a lot of weight.
that's true. That's actually a really good point because he's done it And he's even done it before, like before the game's been played in the press conference afterward, like you were mentioning, because they asked him what was it's something to the effect of like, why do you think Jalen is doesn't get the credit or something to that, right? And he's like, 2 Super Bowls in 3-year span, showing up and winning all these games. He's like, I don't know. I can't really pinpoint why. Chris Jones said the same thing. Trent McDuffie, they're asking him what's the biggest change from 2 years ago to this year's Jalen before the game, and they both. I thought it was great because they asked them separately, so it's not like they're together, and they both said the mental side, so they notice it on film, and you see that he's made those differences because you have to make the checks and the reads and the calls at the line of scrimmage, but you saw it definitely on display against the Chiefs, so I think that's always cool getting that recognition.
It's almost like these all-pro players that are playing right now have a better idea of how good Jalen Hurts is compared to career backup guys that are sitting at an analyst desk right now, right? I don't know.
Maybe. Sometimes. That's what I always go to, because in an analyst spot, whether it's your producer saying, I need you to take a hard stance, because sometimes that happens, and they may not fully believe it, but they have to say something. But then also, like you're talking about, like there's guys who were in the game versus guys who are playing against him and have not stepped away, have not lost any rust, are in that daily grind and understand they're the ones who have to play against it. They're the one who have to prep against. So when they're saying it, I'm buying a little bit more into that than a guy who's getting paid to try to attract eyeballs for saying something that might be a little bit controversial, might get people riled up. Sometimes it's accurate, but I will say I can at least appreciate some of the analysts that are willing to admit that they're wrong. Now, it's sometimes a little bit, not a full apology, but I did at least appreciate Dan Orlovsky on one of the segments because he was like, Jalen, shut us up. He's like, myself included. He basically said, shut up. He's like, he played one of his best games, or played his best game. The way that he's at the line of scrimmage, masterful, recognizing the defense, all these other things. It's just, it felt like even in that moment, but certainly before, it's like, why is there just so much negativity and so much doubt and all the, like, Jalen will never get back to this level. He'll never be back to the Super Bowl. The Eagles can't win without Saquon running for 150 yards, all this other stuff. So, but everybody's been wrong, so I at least appreciate when they're, willing to come out there and say, okay, hey, maybe I missed on this one. Anthony with a 2 says, do you think Sweat re-signs with a hometown discount? I think there is a this would be a more confident 0.0% chance that Sweat re-signs with the Eagles, regardless of his hometown discount or not. Sweat is going to get a bag. He got Rosenhaus as his agent, and his main goal is, I don't care where I play, I want to get a big contract.
Listen, when a player changes agents this close to free agency, and especially a guy like Drew Rosenhaus, like, he's going for the money. That's not a hometown discount move. He wants to get paid. He took a pay cut last year to come back to the Eagles, and now it's his time. The guy, well, even when he was drafted, there were doubts about his career because of his knee injury. That's how bad it was. And now he's just coming off the biggest game of his career, on the biggest stage of his career. He's going to go wherever the most money is, and I cannot blame him at all. He deserves all of it and more.
Oh, yeah, not at all. I was saying that as well. It's like to have that type of a game in the biggest stage. It was great too because we hadn't heard a lot of Sweat. Like Nolan had been having a really good game. Jalen Hunt had, but in terms of the edge, sack production and things like that, you hadn't heard too much of Josh Sweat. But for him to go out there like he did in the Super Bowl, more power to him. Get the bag, make the money while you can. Christian with a 2. Jalen is a superstar in the biggest games. That he is. He shows up in a big way, making sure that the doubters and critics are wrong. I appreciate the fact that his kind of mic drop at the end about, like, the doubters and everything else. He's like, I can't determine what they say or dictate what they say, but if that's what makes me or gets to a world championship, that he's like, keep it coming. So that was pretty iconic. I could appreciate that. And then the Jordan commercial, which was perfect timing.
Man. Yes.
That was fantastic because
You could tell that whole campaign was like building up, right? Because like even during the season when the fines first came out, he had like the photo shoot with the 2 cleats, whatever. Then for like the send-off party that they had at the field before they traveled to New Orleans, he had the hoodie with like the band, like the box over the 2 cleats. Then he wore the band, like Air Jordan 1s, for the game, at least to start the game. I think he changed his cleats. And then right afterwards, they dropped the commercial. That was like the perfect campaign that led into the perfect like mic drop moment for Jalen Hurts.
Oh, it was. Yes. Yeah. I was sitting there going like, you got, this is, there's some good ads. There's some bad ads in the Super Bowl. It's what you get every single time. But that was one of those where picture perfect. When the Eagles win, you play that clip, and for Jalen to play the way he did too. It's not like, Saquon ran for 200, the defense was lights out, and Jalen had just like it was, Jalen was the offensive reason on that side. So it was perfect. Chris with a 5. If Hurts wins another Super Bowl, he'll probably do it by beating Lamar, Josh Allen, Mahomes again. I don't know exactly. I guess one of those three probably. I would not anyone else to be our. Yeah, wouldn't want anyone else to be our QB1. So I think it's maybe one of those three. I believe is what this statement is saying. I would not want anyone else to be our QB1. He's a winner. He may not win the stats. He may not ever win a regular season MVP because sometimes he just doesn't rack up all the stats that other quarterbacks do. But again, the one thing that we can continue to say is in the biggest game with the most pressure, the lights are the brightest, Jalen Hurts has shown up. And not even as against the Eagles has Patrick Mahomes just struggled. Mahomes has not had great Super Bowl performances. He's won them, but like if you look at his individual performance in those, sure, he's made enough plays late to get him the dub. He's had some help from defense or from special teams, but overall, he's not had a like, oh my gosh, like that's a night and day difference, lights out. He's turned the football over. He's made some bad plays. His accuracy thrown into the dirt so many times against the Eagles, but other teams as well. So I agree. I wouldn't want anybody else.
I mean, like, it's funny because with Nick Sirianni, people say like maybe he's not the best coach in the NFL, maybe not even top 5, but he's perfect for this team and this city. And I feel like Jalen Hurts, I mean, he deserves a little bit more respect. I think he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but he is such a perfect fit for this team and for this city, especially the media market, because you see the questions they ask and he doesn't give them anything. He knows exactly how, like what strings to pull to rile up people when he wants to, or to calm things down when he needs to. Like even that clip of him with Devontae Smith, where he's only 26 years old, but the way he's talking to Devontae Smith, you thought he was like Brandon Graham, like he had 15 years in the league, because he's like, no, like calm down, we'll be back here, like we got like, but no, he's only in his 5th, 6th year in the league, whatever it is. So like, it's just so cool to see how mature he is, and he might not be a flawless quarterback, but he's perfect for the city of Philadelphia and for the Eagles.
100%, 1,000%. QB1. That's what we've been trying to say. Breed of One. Those Breed of One hoodies and jackets and everything are legit. I got one of those.
I know. Keep rubbing it in my face. I get it.
I think it may have gotten a little bit of a stain that might not be able to get out, but it's just the dad life. So I might have to get another one. But kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. It's Damn. It's just being a dad at this stage. The 5 from Josh, appreciate that. We literally sat our starters in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl. Who would have even thought that would be a possibility? I mean, I did not think that was I didn't think we'd be seeing Kenny Pickett out there taking a snap. Did not think that we'd be seeing McCollum and Sidney Brown as the safeties. Unless injuries, hope, but did not expect to see them out there. They gave up a touchdown, but still, it's crazy. It's the fact that you were up by so much. You had the defense playing incredible. Also, I should share, because people were curious. I saw a few comments a second ago, but that man himself, James Bradbury, got a ring, and he was with the team. People were wondering if he was still anywhere around Philly on the team doing anything at all. Bro got a ring. JB, we appreciate you. He went away and disappeared with some of the wildest injury, I believe, that they never ever came back and we got any sort of report on. I assume that he's okay. Well wishes to him. Bro was not even close to ever coming back at that point, but he got a ring.
He was basically Coach Bradbury this year, right? It seemed like he kind of stayed in the shadows. But it's funny because every time I watch the PHLY show with Zach Berman, it felt like somebody was always submitting a super chat or whatever, asking a question. They were like, have you spoken to James Bradbury? Like, where's James Bradbury? And
Mm-hmm.
Zach Berman would be like, I see him in the building. I see him in the cafeteria, but like, he's around. He's just not playing. Like, so he kind of accepted his role. He's like, listen, I'm taking my 10 million, whatever he's making, and I'm chilling like this. I'll be over here. So
I will say, I know that we joke about Bradbury, and Benji says Bro's biggest contribution was not contributing. In all honesty, though, at the same time, he did not see the field. But I do believe that he gave tips and tricks to the rookie, just like Slay, because even though maybe his body can't necessarily react like he used to, or he's not very productive out there, at least recently what we'd seen from James Bradbury, I still think he's got a wealth of knowledge to impart on those rookies. So it's funny to joke about. It is hilarious, parts of it that he never saw the field. But I do think that he was probably one of those that was helping Q, maybe helping Coop, things that he's seen. And the Rooks have the talent and ability to actually go out there and execute and do that. So, JB, we appreciate you. We support. We're glad we got the dub, got the Super Bowl ring, Super Bowl champs. There's not a holding penalty or anything like that, but I'm sure he had some contributions. We just don't know exactly what they were.
Yeah, I mean, look at a guy like Brandon Graham. I know he's like viewed as the ultimate leader, but when he was out, he was in the meeting rooms and helping guys out, and that was well documented. So I'm sure James Bradbury was in the meetings or helping guys, even if it's a phone call or saying something on the practice field, if he's on the side. Like, you never know. Like, that stuff's really not going to be reported all the time, especially for a guy like James Bradbury. But yeah, I'm sure it seemed like he was in the building, so he had to be helping in some way.
Yeah. Christian with the 20 says, we appreciate that. Says, what free agents are we keeping and losing? What are your thoughts? Also, have you guys bought any Super Bowl merch? I'm about to pull the trigger on Super Bowl 59's football signed by Jalen. Wow, I don't know how much that one is. That's got to be quite a bit for a Jalen Hurts signed football, but more power to you. If you got the blessing, I'm not sure if you're married, make sure to get the approval on that. I have purchased some. Yes, I've not gone that far. I had to get a hoodie, right? Because I had this hoodie, and it's getting a little bit faded. It's still pretty good, but I get to get another hoodie. I got a shirt, one of the gray ones, and I think that's it. I was looking at a potential of a hat, but I think that's all I've got so far. But there's probably a lot more to be spent. Have you bought anything yet? You purchased off the shop?
So I got the hoodie. I told you last time I bought that hoodie, and then I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if it got lost when we moved or whatever, but so I had to get that this time around. I did get the hat, even though I'm not crazy about like that rope that goes across the brim, but it's all right. It's a Super Bowl hat. I'll make it work.
My wife says it's trendy, so
I guess, yeah. It reminds me of like those, like my grandfather was in the Marines. Like he used to have the hat like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
So,
Yep.
So I don't know if that's, and then I bought they had like a black shirt. I didn't want to go gray because the hoodie was gray.
Mm-hmm.
They had the black shirt. It has the Lombardi trophy, and it looks like it's like outlined in like the Mardi Gras beads.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. So I got that one. So
nice.
Maybe I shouldn't say this because my wife might be watching the show, but don't worry. I used a couple discounts.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll be fine. All good. I did the reverse of it. So I got the black hoodie, the alternate hoodie, but then I did the gray shirt.
Okay.
So,
got you.
Should be good.
It's all right.
As far as the other free agents, we were talking about this for a second. So I think that it should be Baun and Mekhi Becton, but I believe we've talked about this before. We're both on the same page for sure. Zack Baun is number one, but you're not so sure about Mekhi Becton, right?
Well, I don't know. It's weird, right? Because I feel like Zack Baun, you have to sign to whatever he wants. Like that has to happen. But with Mekhi Becton, it all depends on how they view Tyler Steen, I think. Because if they think Tyler Steen, I mean, he stepped in at left guard and right guard this year, but wasn't the most consistent. But Mekhi Becton also wasn't the most consistent. He was solid for the most part, especially playing the position for the first time. But I also do think, especially after seeing his comments after the game, how emotional he was, unlike Josh Sweat and maybe Milton Williams, I think Mekhi Becton might be a little bit more willing to take kind of that hometown discount to stay in Philadelphia, because considering how like his career started in New York and how he saw how like the grass isn't always greener and things don't work the same and operate the same as they do in Philadelphia, I think he really, like he said, it was like the most together a locker room has been in for him since high school. So not even in college. So this is like in college and in New York, things weren't the greatest for him, I guess. And now he sees how he can kind of reach his potential in Philadelphia. And I also don't know if the rest of the league views him as a guard or thinks that he can succeed outside of Philadelphia. Maybe this is the perfect situation for him because he's surrounded by 4 Pro Bowls, potential All-Pros. So it depends on how the rest of the league views him. But I think especially if the Eagles view him as a potential Lane Johnson replacement, where they can view him in 2-3 years being the starting right tackle, then I think there's absolutely a chance that they throw him a big 4 or 5 year contract. But if it's just to play guard, I think it'll be whether they like him or go with Tyler Steen, who they already have locked up for 2 years. So
yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. I agree with you there. I definitely feel like it's 2 guys. It's both of them. It makes sense obviously for like the longevity, potential of sliding him out there for Lane Johnson, the right tackle part, but just what this group did, I feel like we'll see, but I feel like, as you're alluding to, that Mekhi Becton probably feels that extra loyalty, that support from Philly. Does that end up meaning there's a discount there? Who knows? There probably is a team out there that's at least considering. We'll see if they actually offer, but at least considering and looking like, man, you got a guy like Mekhi Becton, potentially go guard. So, I don't know. Those are definitely the 2 I would say for me.
and just real quick, I want to just continue a couple more thoughts. So Mekhi Becton's only 25, right? So that's kind of crazy. So he could even sign like a 3-year deal, stay in Philadelphia, and then hit the market again at 28, where that's basically like the prime of your career. So he'll have options. But 2 more guys, I think, a little bit like lesser known. One of them, obviously, you've talked about in this show, but Isaiah Rodgers and Oren Burks, I think, especially with Nakobe Dean's injury. Those are two, and like Darius Slay's, I guess, questionable future. Who knows with his contract situation? But those 2 are guys that they might surprisingly prioritize to start free agency as well.
Okay, no, those are good points too, because Nakobe's, hopefully rehab is going well, moves quickly, but realistically, from an injury like that, you've seen it could be a year and a half, even 2 years before someone's back to that type of explosiveness, athleticism that they were previously. So Oren Burks played really, really good, especially all things considered, but played really, really good. And there's questions of that going up against Kansas City because, he's picked on in San Francisco. But, man, defense played pretty well. You like what you saw there. You got Trotter Jr., obviously, as well to potentially compete for that spot. But yeah, I agree. That's a good call. We'll see about Zay. There's some optimism there. I will say that we're trying to make it happen with another recording and collab, but he's busy right now, understandably. But the offer has been put out there. I'll just say that. So we'll see if we can get any sort of update, have him on the show or anything in this offseason. It'd be nice. We'll just
get him on the show, offer him a contract, do a couple favors.
Yeah, break some news, perhaps. Maybe he's like, oh yeah, we got offered, X amount, or just anything like the Eagles offered me. That would be great. So, John with the 5 says, oh yes, bet Mahomes. I'll share this with everyone. Everyone saw it, I'm sure, but said, I bet Mahomes regrets wearing the midnight green suit, and that was a very strange, odd look. Smitty wore the red, so if the Eagles had lost, I'm sure Kansas City would be like, oh, he regrets wearing the red suit. I could never wear the opposing team's colors for my suit on game day. It did seem like a very bold choice. There was already a lot of bulletin board material. I don't know. Maybe that was just a little extra one that the team saw. It was 4 hours before kickoff, so you feel like they probably had a good chance to see that, and someone go, "You see what Mahomes is wearing? You see he's wearing midnight green? Like, all right, you're that confident? We'll see how this goes."
The best was Travis Kelce, on the final New Heights episode before the Super Bowl. Jason Kelce asked him for his thoughts on the game, and he was like, "Go Birds, baby, go Birds!" And that's going to be used now by everybody. And then
yes.
Then the fact that he wore that glittery disco ball shirt or whatever he wore, and then it shows him after the game walking to the suite and he just looks miserable, but he's wearing that ridiculous outfit, and people are there was a tweet that had 140,000 retweets or something like that, and it was he regrets wearing that stupid outfit after losing the game
completely. Yes, he loses the game in that fashion too, just an absolute beatdown.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
man, yes. Everyone loves it. Well, Eagles fans, we love it. Kadarian with a 5, appreciate that, says, I'm leaning towards stability in terms of the OC. What's the drawback of Frank Reich as an offensive coordinator? That's a good question there. The drawback of Frank as an OC?
I mean, I think the biggest thing would be like, you just feel like maybe it's been a little bit too long since he's been an OC. Like he was the head coach in Carolina. He was the OC, obviously, in Philadelphia, but that was several years ago. So I'm like, can he just jump right back into it and call plays? Like, yes, he has a relationship with Nick Sirianni and things like that, but he also said in a recent interview, I don't know if you saw it, but he talked about how much him and Sirianni actually clashed in Indianapolis, where they were like almost like brothers. Like they were just screaming at each other in the hallway, and then like, but he said like 30 minutes later, we would be fine. Like we'd be hugging each other, and everything would be cool. So
I
it
did not
almost seemed
see
like
that one, no.
yeah, I'll send that to you afterwards. But like, yeah, he basically made it seem like they had kind of like a love-hate relationship, where like brothers do, I guess. But does he really want to work with that in a sense and come out of essentially retirement? So I don't know. I think there's a lot of options out there outside of Kevin Patullo. I have like 16 or 17 names listed right here, but I don't want to rattle them off and bore all of you. But unless you want me to,
You
then I
should
will. But
go check it out. I'll also, for people watching this thing back, I will say that there is a link down in the description. So
yes, there
make
you
sure to go
So
follow at Deuna NFL. But yes, you can go check out the articles because
there
I
you go.
love
I
that
don't
you
want
have that many names. That is, it's always impressive. But
Well, I
but
have
here's
like
your 16 names.
seven experienced guys and then 11 random people. So listen,
Always doing way more
you
work
said we
than
were going to
everybody
talk
else.
about
But
you said we were going to talk about offensive coordinators. I wanted to
no,
be ready.
and I can appreciate that. Yes, just the 16 feels a bit extreme, but I love the fact that you've dug into the research
You
so
didn't
much and been like, all
you didn't
right,
want to
here's
do a
the
mock draft of offensive coordinators. I was ready.
Everyone appreciates a good mock draft. I don't know about a mock draft of here's your 16 offensive coordinators for Philly. It's your top option again, or I guess the most realistic option I should say, is continually Kevin Patullo. But if you were to list out like, two of the experienced ones and like two of the less experienced ones, I suppose. What just like a little teaser, I suppose, because people should go out and check out the list of names, but like two on each side.
Now you're putting pressure on me. I have to either write this article now or just throw the list on Twitter. So now you're throwing me off. But no,
well, didn't you had the 10 offensive coordinator candidates, didn't you? I thought I saw that one.
But now I think three of them are gone now.
Well, but still, that's 7 options for people to go check out that they probably have not been aware of. So there's 7 is more than most people have on their list.
That's true. So Nate Shieldhouse is the guy that I talked about before on here, but he supposedly worked out a thing with the Rams to stay there. But that was before when he was in the running for the Jaguars job. The Eagles have interviewed him before, so maybe things change now and they give him a look. He's always been my number one target because I feel like he's like a perfect blend of like a guy that just came out of college, but he worked under Sean McVay, so like he kind of has the best of both worlds, and he's young, so maybe you lose him in a year, but I think he's a really promising guy. And then I think a guy like T. Martin is a veteran coach. He's been around. He played, obviously, but what he's done since going to Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, I feel like he's taken such a step forward as a passer. I would be really interested in seeing him get a chance as an OC. And then as far as like, I guess the experienced guys, obviously Frank Reich is up there. But then I keep going back to Mike McCoy. I know he wasn't an OC last. He was a quarterback coach. So maybe that's what he would do in Philadelphia. But I think the fact that he worked with Sirianni, he's done it all basically in the NFL as both a player and a coach. If they want to go with like an outside veteran, I think he'd be a name to watch for.
Okay. There you go. There's your couple names and potentials out there for him. So I can appreciate that. I do lean towards the outside candidate, diversity of thought, we'll call it, or just, like maybe Kevin Patullo has some good play calling, some good decision. I just, there's a little bit of a concern on the side of calling plays versus passing game coordinator. It's one thing to help prep and scheme and game plan, and it's another thing when the shots are firing that you're like having to adjust, react, what are you seeing, get the calls in quick, hopefully no delay of game, like all these other things. And, it gives some PTSD of Brian Johnson because we saw some of that. But like, that's just the continual theme. So for me, I like the idea of someone who has been an offensive coordinator. That was what was so great about Kellen Moore. And you know what? Hey, Kellen had his moments. Kellen had some not so great games. And, everyone does. There's not always a perfect game plan, but locked in throughout the playoffs. Definitely against Washington. Same thing against Kansas City. I just liked him coming in, and you're like, hey, the track record that he had, the top 2 offense with Dallas, Chargers was, whatever. They had some injuries and stuff. He was better before that, but people wanted to knock him. I still felt pretty good. But then, you go into this situation here of another type of internal, a guy who has not been a play caller. That is probably the bigger. It's not even. I don't know. It's not even the fact that he's like, if you had someone internal who'd been a play caller before, I probably would feel better. I'm not saying Kevin Patullo can't be successful, but it's just to not have been in that spot. That's maybe the most concern. I'm sure for a lot of people as well, but just the having done it before.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people kind of lean into a guy like Frank Reich, because he's done it before, and given his age and the fact that he's basically like Vic Fangio, he kind of failed as a head coach, that you really don't have to worry about him being poached. So he has the familiarity with Nick Sirianni. He has the experience. You're not going to lose him. So basically, the only way he's going to leave is if he just sucks at this job, basically. So I feel like he's kind of like, but then again, if you're going to pick him or Kevin Patullo, I don't know. That's almost like a 20-year age difference. Patullo, I just tweeted it earlier today. I know he's viewed as kind of like a Sirianni disciple, but he was in the NFL before Sirianni. He's coached in different spots than Sirianni. He was with the Jets. I believe he was with Buffalo as well. So he's been around the league. They weren't always together. So I think he deserves a shot after being passed over. This would be the 3rd time if he doesn't get it.
It's true. It is true. And he probably will. It does feel like that. That's just little reservations, I will say, as a lot of people do. I've seen a lot of polls and everything else, the chat as well. Alfredo here says, as long as Vic is here, we're number 1 every year. So in terms of defense, that's all right with me. I'm perfectly fine with that. Vic Fangio has been the savior for the defense to the change that they had. Absolutely ridiculous. Fanny with a 2 saying Becton crying with his son, priceless. That was absolutely, for me, for you too, I'm sure, like just relating as a dad, as a parent, but to be in that moment and his Becton story and yeah, there's just NFL films is the best, but like those are the moments, like the slow-mo and then if you dub it over with some music too, it's just like it's very easy to get emotional.
They know what they were doing.
They absolutely do. But good for him. That was pretty awesome. Kyle with a 10. It was so nice following you guys for this incredible season. And not the BS radio show and pundit S. Keep kid friendly. Congrats on 100K, man. You are for sure my favorite way to consume Philly media, dude. I appreciate that. Thank you. Could not do it without you guys. As Anthony's gone back to Patrick Mahomes' vision.
Oh my God.
I think the only way to fix it is to back out and come back in. Thanks, bro. But seriously, Kyle, yeah, it means a ton. You guys are the best. I'm gonna do a giveaway, by the way. We've been talking and having a blast here, but I've kind of spaced out on that. So here in just a second, you're back. You're good. I can see you. I'm gonna start getting the messages for the live stream. All you have to do is comment on, hang on, don't do it yet, but I'll tell you what to comment, and then stay on the stream. Don't leave because we've had that happen before. But I'm gonna give away some Super Bowl the super chat before. I forgot who mentioned it, but has anybody bought any Super Bowl gear? I'll give out like a hat of your choice maybe, or a T-shirt of your choice on the Pro Shop. So we got to share the love. You got some Super Bowl gear, so might as well. But yes, I'll do that here in a second. So get ready, and then I'll let everybody know what they need to comment in the stream. I'm trying to consider what that might be.
I would have waited to buy my stuff if I would have known you were going to have a giveaway. I would have just entered the giveaway.
There you go. You know, it's usually early bird gets the worm, but in this case, it's the late one does. Kadarian with a 5. I get what you're saying, but I want I don't want a one-dimensional offense. The defense will still be good, but we need an OC that will keep Nick out of the way. I don't disagree with that side. I'm just saying, like, the team in itself with Vic Fangio, with this defense, is so much like it still comes down to the Eagles made the playoffs, very close to winning the division, a monumental collapse at the end of the season, but very close to winning the division with a number 29 ranked defense. So Kadarian, I'm not disagreeing. Like, yes, we won a very complimentary football team, offense playing well, the right play calling in the right situations, capitalizing on all the other. Sure, everyone wants that. You want the big blowouts, destroying every teams. But all I'm saying is, if it doesn't happen, if Kevin Patullo is up to the Brian Johnson level, it's not ideal, but if he is, Vic Fangio defense is not 29. So it makes it better. I'm just trying to share some optimism in case it does happen, because it feels like it will. But I hear you. It makes sense.
I'm so interested to see what happens with this OC job, because it seems like a lot of people think Patullo's going to get the job, but at the same time, I think it was Jeff McClain put out the report. I wasn't able to read it, but I think somebody abbreviated it or whatever. They said that he mentioned that they're going to be interviewing multiple candidates externally, and that it's going to be led by Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie. Didn't mention Nick Sirianni. So I don't know if it's going to be like last offseason where they kind of said, hey, Nick, this is your OC, this is your DC, make it work. So I don't know if he's not going to have a say in it, and maybe that's why you saw the report today where I think it was Jeremy Fowler. Mm-hmm. He said that all of a sudden now the Saints are viewing him as a potential OC. I think that might be Patullo's agent saying, hey, if you don't make us the OC, we're going to New Orleans.
We might be.
Pick us, or so that was awfully convenient timing, I think, because over the past couple of days is probably when Howie Roseman was kind of making those phone calls, setting up these interviews. So it's going to be interesting. They have, like I said, they have to interview at least 2 minority candidates before they can even officially put Patullo there. But it'll be interesting to see if there's anybody else involved.
That is a good little nugget, actually. Yes, as you mentioned that, because if it's Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, and Howie mentioned, I talked about this whenever we were opening the show here, but had mentioned back when Kellen was just rumored to be, interviews and maybe the Saints, that he said, we're always prepared, we're always ready. I got a short list in case it gets to that point. So it's not, oh, shoot, in the middle of a playoff run. Are you kidding me? Kellen Moore's he was way before then going, this is potential, thinking ahead. I mean, heck, look at all the chess moves that Howie has made with trades and draft picks and everything else. Like the 2026 draft, by the way, because Milton Williams, when he goes to another team likely, and when Josh Sweat goes to another team likely, I've seen I believe projected compensation picks would be a 3rd round and a 4th round, or potentially 2 fourths. So, I mean, there's a chance that the Eagles could have 7 top 100 picks in the 2026 draft, because you take the Hassan Reddick trade as well, that there's right in that top 100 category in the 2026 draft. That is Howie Roseman forward thinking to the extreme, to go there's this year's draft too, but next year when you need a little bit more and you're trying to restock and you're having to deal with contracts and all the other stuff, his wizardry of the draft, and we've seen him take a lot of picks and move up in the draft, or not a whole lot of picks and move back and continue to restock. It's why he's the best. There's not another Howie Roseman.
Even this past draft, right? He traded, I think, a 6th round pick for a 5th round pick this year. Just flipped it to move around. He knows what to do. He knows how to manipulate the cap, knows how to manipulate the roster, work the practice squad. He's a genius, and I'm not in position to kind of doubt anything he does at this point, because even his coaching hires have been on point. So, but that's why I also kind of look back at Nate Shieldhouse and Gerard Johnson, because those are guys that they did interview in recent years when they had OC openings. So I wonder if they kind of go back to those 2 guys this time around as well. So it's going to be fun to see who they show interest in.
Keep an eye out. John, I appreciate that. It's hopefully an easier draft coverage for you, Josh. You did great this year. Thank you. Last year was pretty ridiculous on, I think it was day 3, wasn't it? All the trade backs. That was day 3.
I was writing about it at that time.
Yeah, I was texting you, and I was like, hey, do you want to come on? Because I think Thomas was busy or something, and I know you were already preoccupied. But same deal. I was thinking, we're just going to go through the Eagles picks, wrap, be done with it. And 4 hours in, because Howie kept trading back. I'm like, okay, it's cool, but I'm also kind of getting tired, 3 days of draft coverage and getting to the bottom of the barrel.
That 3rd day especially is a long day.
It's a crazy long day. But it's fun. It's enjoyable. Qualified here with 5 says, do you guys mind explaining the cap for me whenever it comes to space for Baun and the guys that we need to retain? So, I mean, I think it was at like 18 million, 19 million projected cap space, if I'm not mistaken. Usually spot track or over the cap is the couple spots to go to. What is that one? What's the official Eagles cap?
I believe last I saw, I think it was around 18 million, but
Okay.
there's always ways to either restructure contracts or cut guys to free up money. And even with new contracts, they can sign a guy like Zack Baun and make it where his first year of his salary only counts 2 or 3 million, but he's technically making like 18 million a year. Like there's so many different ways to kind of, it's a whole long process to dive into, especially with the Eagles, because they love now using void years. And there was an article today that kind of went viral where people are complaining and saying, oh, it's going to catch up to them. But they've been saying that for the last 5 years and it hasn't caught up to them. So they know what they're doing. The cap constantly rises year after year in the NFL. So you could essentially always kick the can down the road if you do it the right way, if you hit on draft picks, which they've been able to do, because people thought the Carson Wentz contract was going to screw them over, and they've handled that masterfully. So they're in a great position moving forward.
Yep. I was taking a look at too, and like for example, you got Bryce Huff with a cap hit of $7.5 million. That's not his total pay, but because of signing bonuses and like you're talking about, you kind of move things around, restructure, stuff like that. So even if you're going to pay Zack Baun, just throwing a number out there, but like hypothetically $15 million a year, that doesn't mean, oh, we've got 19. Yeah, actually, I know. I'm trying to be somewhat optimistic here, just, give it us a little bit. But let's just say, right, we'll just speak this into existence. Zack, you deserve everything that you can get, but 15 million doesn't mean it's 15 million cap hit for the 18, 19-ish million that they have. It could end up being, for example, a $5, $6, $7 million cap hit, and you save a lot of it because you're moving it down with the void years and all the other stuff. So there's plenty of room. I guess if that's the question, as he's asking about Baun and the other guys, there's plenty of room to get a Zack Baun deal done, even if it's a decent amount higher than the 15 million, like I was throwing out there. So Philly boy with a 10, appreciate that. Let's see, does this mean we don't have to watch that stupid Fumble Rooski commercial anymore? I don't know if I wasn't watching. Was that on the Super Bowl, or is this a specific? I don't watch. I'll be honest. I don't watch a whole lot of commercials. So, and then we were streaming during the game. So if it was on the Super Bowl, I didn't see it. But if it's on like regular television, we don't.
It was probably a Super Bowl commercial.
Disney movies, like I got 2
I'm
girls.
right there.
You're right there too. There's not a whole lot of like, oh, what's on TV
Nope.
tonight, right? So it's I don't know. I'll say sure, yes. I don't know what that necessarily means. Just because the season's over, I don't know. I can't help you. I apologize. Anthony with a 2 says, who gives the speech on Friday? CJ, GJ, BG, an exciting white. You'll have a lot of it. I mean, BG's like given, right? Like he will absolutely speak.
Yeah.
You probably have. I mean, CJ's got a lot to say, so it wouldn't surprise me if he's one that tries to get up there. But between BG, CJ, Jalen feels like you would because he's the QB. I mean, that would be somewhat surprising, but I don't know. You probably would, in my mind, have either Lane or Jordan, or maybe both. But
it's probably going to be basically everybody that spoke at that final meeting.
Yeah. So you go with all
before
those.
the Super Bowl. Like, it's like all the team captains, basically all like the key players. But I think my pick, my bet would be Jordan Mailata probably going to have the best speech, because it sounds like he got pretty passionate, almost broke the podium before their final team meeting. So I think he's going to give one hell of a speech at the parade.
Heck yes. I can't wait to hear. He's the best at just like the regular press conferences, very like back and forth with the media, but with all that emotion and everything else, yeah, I think that's a pretty good bet. If they were doing prop bets for that, I'd probably lean into that one as well. CS with a 5. I've been saying Sweat needs to start showing up. Biggest sack drought of the season for him, and then a huge game. Do you think he should have won MVP? He had a great game. It's incredibly hard for a defensive player to win that to begin with, and Jalen was lights out. And I know he threw the interception, but he was lights out. So I'll say no. If he had like one of those sacks as a strip sack, fumble recovery, return for a touchdown, then you could start making a case or an argument. But even then, it's just like you saw with the regular season. The MVP is a quarterback award, and in the Super Bowl, if a quarterback plays halfway decent, then they're probably going to get it anyway. And Jalen played way over halfway decent. So no, I don't think that Sweat should have gotten the MVP, but he played incredibly well, sure.
I actually think if Hurts didn't throw that 50, 60-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith, I think maybe there would have been more of a discussion for Josh Sweat to get MVP. I think him hitting that throw, I think that's what kind of put him over the top. I mean, he deserved it regardless, but that throw especially was like, that's the play you're going to go back and watch, I feel like, for the offense.
Yeah. Puts the game away. It's the nail in the coffin, so to speak. Michael with a 5. Jalen has had 65 rushing touchdowns. Has 65 rushing touchdowns, playing 4 real seasons. If he plays 13 and never improves yearly stats, he will leave the NFL the all-time rushing touchdown leader. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, the brotherly shove has been very helpful. Not that they're all brotherly shove, but it's been very helpful. You can't deny by the fact that he's able to get a ton of rushing touchdowns because of that. And Saquon has helped him in a big way because he falls down at the 1-yard line. But good for him. He's racking up those touchdowns. He's still in it. Thankfully, it doesn't impact Saquon or other running backs. It seems like because they're too smart. Agents go in there and they're like, nope, my running back's not going to get paid for any sort of bonuses on rushing touchdowns because that'll go to Jalen Hurts. So they know what they're doing. Iron Pin with a 2. Chance for Gainwell coming back. There's the question there. Sorry if that was asked already. It was not. We didn't cover Kenny G. Curious your thoughts. If I had to say or predict, I'm going to say no because of Will Shipley in the draft there. Like, they're just not going to be willing to pay Kenny G what he can get from another team. I don't know necessarily it's going to be like significant money, but just what the Eagles are trying to build in other positions, I would say no. I don't know.
I think he's shown enough in relief effort, especially this season, to at least get some type of offer from somebody around the NFL. I feel like he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires. He's shown flashes here and there, obviously not consistent, but I think the Eagles will try to probably bring him back. I think just because he was kind of a key player on special teams for them. He made a couple big tackles throughout the season on special teams.
He did.
He kind of embraced that role, and I thought it was really impressive. But like you said, the fact that they drafted Will Shipley relatively high, this is a pretty solid running back class overall. I think that they're just going to probably move on from him. He'll get a decent paycheck from maybe a 2-year deal or something like that from another team, get a chance elsewhere to contribute a little bit more. And then Will Shipley kind of step into the RB2.
It's funny you mentioned that too, because you're right. Special teams had some really big plays. There were a couple of times where he made tackles, and this was before Nakobe Dean went down, unfortunately. But just because 14, 17, I don't know, but there'd be a couple of times I was like, dang, did Nakobe make that tackle? And you're like, no, that's Kenny Gainwell out there. Like, he's laying some hits on people. But he's made some good plays for special teams. So hopefully you find somebody else to make up for that. 10Z with a 5 says Brad made one of the best moves for us this season Bradbury made one of the best moves this season by just not coming back. Sucks because dude was so good 3 years ago, but I'm happy he's a champ. So yeah, going back to the James Bradbury, like I said, good for him. You know what? Taking a back seat, coming up with a phantom injury. We speculated, wondered how concerning it was. Maybe there was a little bit of an injury there, but it did feel like some roster gamesmanship and everything else. Spencer with a 2. What do you think is going to happen to Bryce Huff? We talked about that one a little bit earlier as well, but it feels like it's very difficult to do anything to move on from Bryce Huff. I don't envision that there's a whole lot, maybe how he can figure out a way. If he does, you're going to take a loss. And whether that's compensation-wise of, just not getting much back for it or trying to, offload a contract, but it's difficult for a guy who did not do much. And teams, sure, they might need a pass rusher, but man, there's some concerning things if you look at it and say, yeah, he was pretty good with the Jets. Couldn't do a whole lot. I know it's Fangio scheme, so there's differences, yes. I don't know. You'd have to almost be willing to say, hey, we'll pay we'll pay half of his contract. We'll pay you to take him practically, like get a very discounted deal. I don't know.
It's kind of ironic to think about because like he's almost in a very similar situation that James Bradbury was this past year because
That's true, actually.
he got paid a 3-year deal, whatever it was, kind of crapped the bed his first year. The second year they were like, we don't really have a role for you. Like we can't trade you because nobody wants your contract. Like, all right, you got this injury now, like whatever happened. So I think we might see, like I said, I think they're going to try and trade Bryce Huff if they can, but if they can't, we might see something similar because it clearly seems like Vic Fangio is not his biggest fan of his scheme.
Yep. I certainly think so. Anthony with the 2 says, last question. Do we draft a kicker and an edge? I can't envision a world with that Howie Roseman ever drafts a kicker. I'll say that. It wouldn't surprise me if we drafted edge. Defensive line, in general. Like we know that Howie loves that. So I would say yes to the edge. Kicker, no.
Yeah, and it's a stacked class along the defensive line. So I think they're going to add both an edge and a defensive tackle, like an interior defensive lineman, relatively early in the draft. I don't think it has to be first round, but considering the strength of this class, I think that's going to be a position that they attack early. And then with a kicker, considering they don't have a 6th or 7th round pick, they're not going to draft the kicker, but maybe as an undrafted free agent, they'll bring one in to kind of compete with Jake Elliott.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. There will be competition, but yeah, the drafting part, that's kind of wild. Let's see. We've got Muhammad with a 2 says Chase Daniel's a bum. There's lots of comments about Jalen Hurts and everything else. Also, the 2 more says thoughts on Orlovsky for pass game coordinator. What? Dano for pass game coordinator? I don't even think that I've seen any sort of rumor on this. No,
I think Dan Orlovsky would love to be the pass game coordinator.
Yes.
I don't think the Eagles agree.
No. Even if he was like, I don't know how he would do in a job like that. But just watching his analysis and his criticism of Hurts, regardless, like even let's say he was really good at his job of pass game coordination, his criticism of Hurts alone, I'd be like, no, keep him out of this locker room. I don't want any sort of like just, animosity or some at odds. And no, because Jalen has seen it for sure. We know that he watches it. It fuels him. He could probably eventually somehow get around that. But why? Why bring in a guy like that? So no, I appreciate, creative thought, but that is not one that I want to entertain. Mario with a 5. I hope we re-sign Isaiah Rodgers. He's a solid replacement for Slay. How big do you guys think his contract would be? It's an interesting question. Depends on, I guess, how many teams are interested for bringing in Zay. He didn't play a whole lot, but like Mario was saying, we saw that there's a couple different moments that he showcased his speed and quarterbacks thinking like, oh, my receiver has a step, and all of a sudden he closes crazy fast. I don't know. I haven't really looked at like comparable contracts for Zay. Do you have a number? Have you done any investigating on that?
I haven't really dove into it, but I could see him, considering his situation, like you said, he showed flashes this year. He stepped up when needed, but I don't think he's going to get some extravagant multi-year deal. I think he might sign a 1 or 2 year deal where he's not locked into something because he's still young, where he can kind of prove himself or in a bigger role, whether it's in Philadelphia, if they move on from Darius Slay, which I think is probably their best option moving forward, because ideally, I don't think you want to move Cooper DeJean outside. I think he's such a perfect fit in the slot in Vic Fangio's defense that if you can even if you move on from Slay, you just slot in Isaiah Rodgers there, who seemed like he was going to be a starter at one point to begin with. But I think that's the perfect situation for him, is to return to Philadelphia on a 1 year, $5 million deal with maybe upside for reaching certain numbers or something like that, or even a 2 year deal where the second year is either an option or something like that. I think that's probably what he's looking for, even from other teams on the open market.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. That makes a whole lot of sense. It's see where they're at exactly with Slay, but that's definitely one. I'm sure they're going to explore the opportunity and see what his potential. The beauty of like playing on this team, being in Philly, and coming off of a Super Bowl victory. We know that Howie does this with basically every guy who's going to the free agency, but he's like, just let us know. Let us know what you get. Just, potentially give us the opportunity, right, to match it. So maybe won't say that to all the guys because there's, I'm sure, like Sweat and Milton Williams, it's already the expectation we're not going to be able to pay you. But there might be guys like Zay, for example, that he goes, let us know. Let us know what you potentially get an offer out there. And then you come back and try to negotiate, figure things out because, you got a defense like this. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of it? But we'll see. That's the beauty of the free agent market, the fun of what takes place there, the legal tampering and deals magically getting done. I mean, like 2 minutes after the signings start, but we see that a lot. Everything above board, no cheating, no conspiracies, nothing crazy there. I don't know why they allow legal tampering in the first place. They should just say go, like get deals done. But we won't get off on such a tangent there. Johnny with a 5. Your boy Nolan, that one play where he demolished the block. Of course, you knew he would show up. That was absolutely, watching the game back, a big highlight for me. Sure, yep, because pulling guards don't really want to see Nolan Smith in that spot, and the running play went nowhere because of it. Yeah, absolutely. We love seeing that from Nolan Smith.
Did you see Baldy's breakdown of Nolan Smith, like doing that exact play against pulling guards in every round of the playoffs?
Yes.
It was just, it's becoming like his thing. It's just like these guards, they're going to drop these plays and like their meeting leading up to playing the Eagles. And the guards are going to be like, listen, I don't want to, can we not run that play? Can we run it to the other side?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to come across and get hit by this guy. Cause he's just, it's insane. Cause he's only 240 pounds and he's putting guys that are 350, 330, whatever.
Yeah.
Like either putting them on the ground or injuring them, knocking them out of the game. It's just
taking a shot.
It's unreal.
Yeah, the number of guys who either gotten injured or if you watch clips and they take a hit, you're like, man, like shaking it off. Like, gosh, that dude, yeah, not a whole lot of size, but definitely can deliver blow. Not afraid to either. Okay, so I mentioned giveaway for some people Super Bowl gear before we wrap up here. All you got to do is type in Go Birds in the comments. So Go Birds. You don't need to do it multiple times. It will discard your name, your entry, whatever you want to call it. Go Birds on the live stream here. That's all you have to enter. And then I'll give a couple minutes as we're going over a couple of these other topics, and then I will spin. But just stay tuned. Stay here. If you leave the stream, you're not going to be able to claim it. So I'll do a shirt of your choice or a hat of your choice. Some sort of Super Bowl commemorative. You got to rep it, of course. So, and I'll ship that out to you. So, good luck all. The Go Birds comments are commencing, which is awesome. That is, again, you guys make it possible. So, anytime that we can give back and do as much is fantastic. But love seeing all the Go Birds. After a Super Bowl is incredible too. John in with 2 more. Actually, Chase is a backup bum. Yes, we're going to the Daniel. Chase Daniel is a backup bum. He is, He's feeding his family. I'll say that, right? We'll just leave it there. He's feeding his family. He's doing it in an interesting
doing well
way,
for himself.
He's feeding his family. 5 from Qualified, or 5 more. Appreciate that dude. Says, do you think Jerry will trade Micah? And who would we? Who we rather have him? I guess who would we rather have him or Myles Garrett? I mean, if I get to choose and there's no ramifications for cap and all this other stuff, I don't really think that either are realistic. If I was picking one, I probably would say with Fangio's system, I probably would say Micah Parsons.
I agree.
Yeah. I really like Myles Garrett's game. I mean, he's just a beast. But Vic Fangio, like that's, if it was another defense, I probably would pick Myles Garrett. Like if we're just saying straight up player for player, I probably would take Myles Garrett. But with Vic Fangio's defense and all the things considered, I would say Micah Parsons.
I'm just saying, like, imagine you have Nolan Smith on one side, Micah Parsons on the other, and then you're bringing on Jalen Hunt behind them. Like, I mean, you could say that with Myles Garrett too, but like, Because Myles Garrett, he's just like a superhuman. He looks like he was created in a video game where he just like maxed out the height, maxed out the size. He's just like, he's a freak. But like,
you imagine Jalen Carter lined up in the line of scrimmage, but then Myles Garrett kind of stepping back, doing his little crossover thing as he's getting ready to rush in there.
You could just put Jalen Carter and Myles Garrett as your defensive line and just have 9 defensive backs behind them. And I think you'll be all right.
Good luck. 5 guys are not going to stop those 2. Yeah. You just have 2 guys there and maybe like spy 1 guy on the quarterback, and that's it.
I mean, in reality, how about if we can get Abdul Carter from Penn State instead of either of those 2 guys? Because he was there at the Super Bowl or with the players. He had the custom Eagles hoodie on already. Maybe that guy forces his way to Philadelphia. I don't know.
He needs to tank his draft stock. So Abdul Carter, if you're watching the stream here, a friend of the show, or if somebody else could pass this along to him, he probably doesn't need this encouragement. He saw what happened to Jalen Carter. But just saying, like, if you want to have a pro day, don't do so great. If you do it at the combine, maybe ease up. Don't run so fast.
If that doesn't work, put on the Larry Tunsil gas mask on the day of the draft.
Yes, there you go. Yep, whatever it takes. There's plenty of ways. We've seen this thing play out before. Just be smart about it, of course. But yes, that would obviously.
He's probably going to be like a top 3 pick. Should go number 1 overall, but it's always fun to have some fun with a guy who's such a blatant Eagles fan. It's pretty funny to see. Yeah,
Daniel says, just run a 5.7 40 time. That would do it. Run a 5.7. Yep. But then everyone's obviously going to know that's not even believable. He really needs to run like a 4.8, and then someone will be like, is that really his speed? Is he a 4.8? Like if you do something like that, I think that's more believable. He runs a 5.7. You'd be like, bro was jogging. You clearly could tell what was going on. Okay, I got a lot of these comments here. I think we're good to go. So I'm going to spin. So got this here. We'll do multiple. But first one on the board, please still be present. Please do not have left or you don't get this. Chaz Morgan. Let's go, man. Chaz, you won. Congratulations. I need to see you in the comment section. Comment back that you're here, something, so that I can see you and verify. You just commented a second ago, so I assume that you're still present, but I'm going to give you just a second before I spin for the next person to claim this, and then I just need you to email me at thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com. Qualified said he left. Bro, I don't know how you could tell that because you can't see where people are. So many people are very quickly going like, yeah, he left. He ain't here. There you go, Chaz. Okay, I see you. All right, again, just email me, thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com. I'll get your info, screenshot, make sure that I can verify that it's you, of course, but you're here, so it should be pretty easy.
I always appreciate the people that say like, he left, they're gone, they're not here anymore, like right away.
So many, immediately. Or the he doesn't want it, right? Or the I identify as Chaz. But yes, Chaz, you got that. Just email me. I'll your pick of whether you want the hat or the commemorative T-shirt. So let me know, and I will get that to you. All right, next one here. Who's it going to be? I got another one. It will be Bob Colorado. I assume Bob is from Colorado. There we go. Bob, are you here? Please don't leave. And other people don't leave, because otherwise this is going to be worse. It'll take us a little bit. Bob, I need to hear from you. I need you to comment. Let me know you're here, that you're present, that you can claim it. Come on, Bob. Come on down. We're on the Price is Right here. Let's go. Yeah, Ben says Bob Colorado is not a real name. There's been some really surprising names, though. So people, you never know. Absolutely never know. I'm waiting on Bob. You got to claim this thing, Bob. You're going to run out of time. I'm going to have to spin for somebody else. Ben said he went back to Colorado. Yeah, he's maybe not here. He's taking longer than Chaz. Bob, I need you to comment back.
Anyway.
Maybe he might be. Not seeing him. Robert might have left.
It's time to spin.
It might be. We got other people here. Bob, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to spin. And we're going once, Bob. Still don't see him twice. Last call. Bobby. Yeah, he's gone. I think he lost it. All right, too bad for Bob. Hopefully nobody else left. This is going to be a bummer. Cam and Khaleesi. Let's go. Please tell me that you guys are here. Cam and Khaleesi. Bob, you finally commented, bro. Seriously? All right, I'll still get you. Just email me at thephillysspecialshow@gmail.com. You were late, though. You were late. You're fortunate that I'm very forgiving on this. Email me. Like I said, I'll get you. Just I need to know what you're going to choose there. Cam and Khaleesi. Please tell me that you just comment, say you're here. Cam and Khaleesi. I'm trying to scroll and make sure I don't miss it because I've missed it before, but I don't see a comment yet. Cam and Khaleesi. It's an interesting double shared account, it looks like, too. No, I got Bob. I know people are saying I missed him, but I got Bob. Sometimes it's delayed, though, so maybe that's it. But I'm not seeing Cam and Khaleesi. I need to say here or present anything. Khaleesi is here, but not Cam. I need both. Bob, I've seen your I'm here comment 3 times. I just need you to email me now. You need to email thephilyspecialshow@gmail.com. And then I'm going to get everything.
Live.
Yeah,
maybe. It's like
but it's like I've said it like 3 or 4 times now. So
no, I know, yeah.
I don't know. There we go. Cam and Khaleesi, I see your comment. You are here also. You're present. Good, sweet, awesome. Okay, so now I need you to also, as I've said for the others, just email me at thephilyspecialshow@gmail.com. Screenshot, and you make sure that it's you, confirm your info, and then you can choose a commemorative hat, T-shirt, whatever. All right, last one. We've given away 3 so far. Fourth time's the charm. Last one here.
Too kind.
We'll see if this person is present. Tyrell, I believe I would pronounce it Tyrell Colbert. Is it Colbert? Colbert? I think it's Colbert. I'm going with that. Tyrell, congratulations. Come on down.
You might have a future in being a game show host.
Maybe so. If this doesn't work out, if Jason Kelsey ever gets wind of this and he needs some sort of like game show portion for the Late Show, I would be willing. So just throw that out there. This audition.
This might make me a bad person, but I haven't watched that yet. Have you watched it?
I'll be honest. I've watched like a super small snippet whenever he had.
So I'm not the only one.
Was it Lane? I think he had Lane on. So no, I've not regularly watched it. But I just have. Bad now. You know how it is. We don't have like hardly any time to watch TV. So it's like kids
too busy watching
schedules
Paw Patrol and Blaze and the Monster Machines and all this others.
Yes, it's everything else. Let's see. Qualified? Well, yeah. I mean, you're seeing the people's names on the list, so that they don't get to be drawn again. If that's what you're asking, it automatically takes those. I'm still not seeing Tyrell. Tyrell might have missed it. This may be after another respin. So, not at the moment. Tyrell Colbert, I believe. Daniel says he's on the toilet. Well, unfortunately, he might lose this thing then, if that is the case. I'm not seeing him. So, going once, Tyrell. Going twice. Third time. Tyrell. Nope, I'm going to have to spin again. Oh, he went to bed. Okay. Someone can confirm that he went to bed. I guess so. If you guys can confirm that. All right. Last one. Who is it? We respin. Keisha, what's up? Hopefully you're still there. I need you to say that you're here. I saw you earlier. I saw you in the chat. Hopefully still here. Just come on down. Claim your prize. Congratulations. I'm still waiting, though.
I think you need to get like dedicated giveaway music.
There we go.
To kind of
that would actually be good. I should probably do that. But she is here, present. Awesome. Let's go. Okay, so again, as I've said for everybody else, email me at thephilyspecialshow@gmail.com, and I will let you pick whatever your, again, hat preference, T-shirt, whatever, Super Bowl commemorative item. And congratulations to you. Also, everybody else, unfortunately for Tyrell, missed out. Sorry, man. Better luck next time.
Also, for Bob Colorado, he commented again. He was like, I responded within 20 seconds of hearing you like call my name. So he's definitely just watching
Okay.
it
So
probably
very,
like 10 minutes
pretty
behind,
delayed.
15 minutes
Okay.
behind.
All right. That's how it is. Sometimes, Bob, but yeah,
He probably paused it and then opened it back up, and then
that's true.
now he's not even
Michael
live.
says there's a lag on my side. She responded immediately. Yeah. But there's like a 20, 30-second delay usually from whenever I'm seeing the chat versus whenever I'm saying it. So that's fair. But the other one with Tyrell took, we've been going on 5 minutes now. So unfortunately. Okay. Last one here. Super chat before we wrap up. Gamer Veranza, I believe I would say that correctly, with 5 says, if BG does retire, do you think he would take a coaching job?
Yes, because he actually said that. I think when he initially got the injury, he was like, said something about how if this is it for me, it's fine. I'll be coaching for the next 5 years or something like that. Like, so it seems like he's ready to he basically was embracing that while he was hurt already. So I think he's kind of, if he does retire, which I think he should, because this is like the best send off possible. I mean, you couldn't write a story better. Like, you think you suffered a season ending injury, you come back for one game. That game is the Super Bowl and you win. Like, that's it. Just call it a career. You're good. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I wouldn't be able to turn down $5 million or whatever he's going to make either, potentially, but I feel like it's perfect. He has the record for games played, all that stuff. So I feel like he should call it a career and then be an assistant defensive line coach or scout, like whatever he wants to do. I'm sure Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman will have a role for him, like they have for Connor Barwin, Darren Sproles, all these other players, Brent Selleck, like that have been around about the team. So
yeah, I'm with you too. It's it'd be fun. It'd be awesome to have him back again, but you could ride off to the sunset, win the Super Bowl. He's accomplished just about everything. The fact that he was able to even come back and play like he did with a torn tricep, and make that happen is ridiculous in itself. But yeah, he loves it too much. I definitely agree with you too. Being around the game in some sort of coaching, scouting, some role, they would absolutely make that happen. So BG too much. That energy is great. And we'll see. Nick says BG's going to have Big Dom's role. I don't know if Big Dom's role, but he could find some sort of role. We can't really replace Big Dom, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Okay, I think that does it for the topics, the insight, everything else. This was a blast. This went way longer than I anticipated. We got 2 hours here. Good gosh. But it was fun. Time flies when we're having fun. No, I just hopefully you're not in trouble. I might be past due here.
My wife actually texted me because she's watching it, I guess, delayed.
Oh, okay.
And she just gave me the approval for the Super Bowl merchandise because she said Valentine's Day is coming up. So
hey, there we go.
So I bought myself my Valentine's Day gift.
Okay. Well, congratulations then. I'm glad that it all worked out, in some form or fashion. At least something worked out that way. Yes. Well, this was a blast. I did want to share with everyone. I mentioned a second ago too, but Friday, I'm probably at the moment planning on streaming during the parade. So there will still be a Friday stream, but I won't be able to do it for a Friday night hangout or live that way because we got Valentine's Day, or this week. So we try to find time basically to celebrate or spend time with the wife, but that's where I'll be at. So just as a fair warning to everybody else, but appreciate you guys. As always, it was a blast. Anthony, thank you for taking so much of your time, allowing us to take your time. If people are not, again, make sure to follow at Deuna NFL. It's crazy that we have reached the end point of the season recording after or before almost every single game, and the number of predictions that we got correct. There were some wrong, sure, but the number of predictions that were correct, the first touchdown scores, the scores, the way the games would play out, maybe impact players, all the other stuff, but just the whole journey in itself. I mean, it's been a blast, and to finish on top as Super Bowl champions, it obviously doesn't get better than that. But I mean, I just say thank you to you again. Thank you to everybody else as well, because wouldn't be possible. And this is without a doubt the most fun football season I've ever had in my entire life, understandably so. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for even, I mean, what has it been, a year now or so that we've been doing these together, that you offered me to kind of jump on with you. So it's been so cool to see your growth. And I said the last live stream it felt like both of us this is the most invested we've been in a single team, because obviously the content that you do, the live streams that you do, the fact that I was able to get media credentials for the first time this season, we went to the game together. Like, it felt like we were almost a part of this team in a way. But the fact that, like you said, it was capped off with a Super Bowl, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And like you said, it can't be possible without all the supporters that you have as well. So just thank you to you, and thank you to everybody that's watching as well.
There we go. Appreciate that. Best of luck to you, Anthony, and your voice. Get that back after all the yelling and the cheering. But you gutted it out. I mean, 2 hours. That's also, I'm like, man, we took out a ton of your time. And
now I'm shot.
But
now I have no voice for at least another week.
I know. I probably ruined it. But seriously, it was a blast. Everybody have a fantastic night. Congratulations to all the giveaway winners. Like I said, I'll get to the emails here in a bit. But the Philly Special Show at gmail.com. Make sure to confirm that it's you and your info and all that. Until next time, y'all know what it is. Eagles, winners of the Super Bowl. Let's run it back. Go Birds.